Some people don't openly dislike you. They don't argue with you. They don't attack you directly. They don't always say anything obvious. But you can feel it. Something is off. Their energy is colder than their words. Their support feels thin. Their smile feels strained. Their politeness has tension inside it. And the strangest part is, you didn't really do anything to them. That's what makes this so confusing. Because when someone treats you badly after you've clearly wronged them, at least that makes sense. But when someone secretly resents you for no clear reason, it gets under your skin in a different way. You start wondering, did I say something wrong? Did I come off the wrong way? Am I overthinking this? Why does this person feel strange around me when I've done nothing to them? Let me ask you something early, because I know this is the kind of topic that brings very specific people to mind. Have you ever had someone seem polite on the surface, but deep down you could feel they resented you? And what gave it away first? Their tone, their distance, their fake support, or the way they acted around other people? That question alone probably brings up a face, because this happens a lot more than people admit. And usually the reason is deeper than they're just jealous. Sometimes they are. But usually there's more going on than that, because resentment is rarely about one surface-level thing. It's usually about what your presence activates in someone. That's where the Carl Jung layer comes in. Jung understood that human beings don't just react to what's happening in front of them. They react to what that thing stirs up inside them. Their shadow, their insecurity, their unlived life, their comparison, their shame, their disowned desires, their false self. So when someone secretly resents you for no reason, the truth is, there is a reason. It's just often not a reason they can admit, sometimes not even to themselves. So in this video, I want to go straight into 7 real reasons some people secretly resent you, even when you've done nothing obvious to deserve it. Because once you understand these patterns, you stop blaming yourself for energy that was never really created by you in the first place. 1. Your presence reflects something they haven't become. This is probably the deepest reason. A lot of resentment begins with reflection. Not what you did, what you represent. Sometimes just being around you reminds someone of a part of themselves they haven't developed. Maybe you're more disciplined, maybe you're more grounded, maybe you speak more clearly, maybe you carry yourself with quiet self-respect. Maybe you healed from something they're still using as an identity. Maybe you took a risk they were too afraid to take. Maybe you simply seem more comfortable in your own skin. And if someone is already insecure, your presence can feel less like a person and more like a mirror. That's the part people miss. They think resentment only comes from obvious conflict, but a lot of resentment comes from contrast. You make them aware of a gap between who they are and who they could be, a gap between the life they're living and the life they abandoned, a gap between how they present themselves and how they actually feel inside. Jung would probably say this has everything to do with the shadow. The qualities people repress in themselves don't disappear. They become emotionally loaded when they see them embodied in someone else. So if you carry something they secretly want but haven't integrated, confidence, peace, clarity, discipline, beauty, self-trust, they may not experience that cleanly. They may not feel inspired. They may feel irritated, uneasy, quietly hostile. Not because you harmed them, because you reminded them of something unresolved. And this is why some people resent you without ever having a real reason. You didn't attack them, you just reflected a possibility they are not at peace with. 2. You make them feel seen in ways they can't control. Some people are perfectly fine around others, until they sense that someone is actually reading them. You know the type. They can charm people, play nice, manage impressions, stay polished, stay socially smooth, but then they meet someone they feel notices more than they say. someone who catches inconsistencies, someone who can feel what's off, even if nothing obvious has been said, someone whose attention feels calm but hard to fool. That can create immediate resentment. Why? Because a lot of people don't mind being looked at. They mind being seen. There's a difference. Being looked at is social. Being seen feels psychological. And if somebody is heavily attached to a persona, the polished version, the agreeable version, the innocent version, the impressive version, your presence can make that persona feel less secure. Jung talked a lot about the persona as the mask people wear to survive socially. The problem is, when someone becomes too identified with that mask, anything that threatens it feels personal. So if your energy makes them feel transparent, if they sense that you're not buying the performance completely, if your silence feels like observation instead of easy consumption, they may start resenting you, not because you accused them, not because you exposed them, but because they feel less hidden around you. And some people need to feel hidden in order to feel safe. That's why resentment can show up even when you've barely said anything. Sometimes it's not about what you did. It's about what your presence made harder for them to maintain. 3. Your growth quietly disrupts the role they assigned to you. This one hits hard because it happens a lot in old relationships, friendships, family, work environments, even long-term social circles. People get used to a certain version of you, the version that over-explains, the version that doubts themselves, the version that is easier to influence, the version that is more available, more tolerant, more unsure, more accommodating. And then you grow. You stop chasing, stop seeking approval, stop asking for permission, stop shrinking, stop participating in old patterns, and suddenly, certain people feel weird around you. Why? Because your growth disrupted the role they had assigned you in their world. That role may have benefited them more than you realized. Maybe they were used to feeling wiser than you, more stable than you, more needed than you, more in control than you. But once you evolve, the old arrangement starts breaking down. And not everybody knows how to adjust gracefully when they lose their familiar position in your life. So instead of saying, "I don't know how to relate to this new version of you," they go quiet, or cold, or subtly resentful. Jung would likely say that relationships are often held together by unconscious roles. When one person changes, the whole dynamic gets exposed. That's why some people resent your growth, not because growth is bad, because it took you out of a role that made them feel comfortable. And once that comfort disappears, the truth of the relationship starts showing. 4. They secretly compare themselves to you more than they admit. This is a big one. Some people are not relating to you directly. They are measuring themselves against you constantly. Your looks, your peace, your body, your money, your confidence, your relationships, your attention from others, your way of speaking, your way of moving through life. And here's the thing, comparison often happens silently. A person can smile at you while secretly ranking themselves against you in real time. As long as they feel they're doing fine in that comparison, the relationship may feel normal. But if something shifts, if you become more attractive, more stable, more respected, more self-possessed, more visible, more at peace, that silent comparison can start hurting them. And pain that isn't processed often becomes resentment. Jung would probably say that envy is often the emotional signal of an unlived part of the self. It points to something the person wants, fears, or abandoned in themselves. But not everybody has the maturity to interpret envy that way. Some people just become colder. Because resentment feels easier than self-confrontation. It's easier to act weird around you than to admit, "Being around you makes me feel less than I want to feel." So if someone's energy changes when you start doing better, looking better, or carrying yourself differently, don't dismiss that too quickly. Sometimes you are not imagining it. Sometimes the change in energy is exactly what comparison feels like when it goes underground. 5. Your authenticity makes their performance feel heavier. This one is subtle but powerful. Some people are not resentful because you're louder, more dominant, or more aggressive. They resent how natural you seem, how real you seem, how unforced you seem, how your energy and your words match. Because a lot of people are performing more than they realize, they adapt to every room, shape-shift around every crowd, say what works, present what gets approval, build personalities around acceptance. And over time, that creates a split between who they are and who they show. So when they encounter someone who feels more integrated, someone who doesn't seem to be working as hard to be accepted, someone whose presence feels more aligned, it can create discomfort. Not because authenticity is offensive, because it exposes effort. Jung believed that the further people get from their deeper self, the more conflict they feel around those moving closer to theirs. That's exactly what happens here. Your way of being makes their way of pretending feel more exhausting. And instead of facing that honestly, some people turn that pressure into resentment. That's why fake nice people often resent authentic people. That's why highly adaptive people often feel strange around grounded people. And that's why your truth can irritate someone who has spent years managing an image. You didn't do anything wrong. You just made performance harder to enjoy. 6. You trigger the grief of their unlived life. This may be one of the saddest reasons. Sometimes people secretly resent you because your life touches the life they didn't choose, the courage they didn't use, the truth they never told, the art they never made, the healing they never committed to, the boundary they never set, the move they never made, the self they never became. And when they see you living with a little more freedom, a little more alignment, a little more boldness, it stirs something painful, not just envy, grief, the grief of their unlived life. Jung talked about this in different ways throughout his work. The idea that what is not lived doesn't disappear. It stays in the psyche. It waits. It aches. It turns into restlessness, bitterness, projection, longing. So if your life somehow reflects a road they abandoned, your presence can feel emotionally expensive. You become a reminder, not necessarily of your success, but of their compromise. And some people cannot sit with that reminder cleanly. They won't say, "Seeing you makes me think about what I gave up." They'll just pull away, go quiet, get strange, downplay you, act unimpressed, offer fake support. Because secret resentment is often unprocessed grief wearing social clothing. And once you understand that, some people's coldness starts making a lot more sense. It doesn't excuse it, but it explains why the resentment can feel so deep, even when you never directly crossed them. 7. They feel your energy is no longer available for their comfort. This is the most immediate reason in everyday life. Some people resent you because they can feel you are no longer as easy to access, shape, use, or emotionally lean on. Maybe you got stronger. Maybe you got clearer. Maybe you stopped over-explaining. Maybe you stopped chasing. Maybe you started protecting your peace. Maybe you simply became less available for nonsense. And that shift affects people more than you think. Because a lot of relationships are not built just on affection, they're built on access. Access to your patience, your emotional labor, your availability, your softness, your willingness to carry things that were never yours. When that access changes, some people experience it as loss. And weak or insecure people often turn loss into resentment, not because you harmed them, because your boundaries interrupted what they were used to receiving from you. Jung would probably say that unconscious dependency often disguises itself as closeness. So when you stop feeding the pattern, the person doesn't always say, I miss the old access I had. They say, you changed. You're different. You're cold now. You think you're better. But what they're often reacting to is much simpler. You no longer organize yourself around their comfort. And if someone benefited from your old level of openness, self-doubt, or over-availability, that can absolutely create secret resentment, because your growth is not just changing you, it's changing what they can take from the relationship. So what do you do with this? This part matters, because the point is not to become arrogant, not to walk around assuming everyone resents you, not to make every awkward interaction about hidden jealousy or shadow dynamics. That's not the point. The point is to stop blaming yourself for every strange energy around you, to stop collapsing into self-doubt every time someone acts weird, to stop over-explaining yourself to people who are in conflict with something deeper than your behavior. Sometimes people do have reasons, clear reasons, valid reasons. But sometimes the resentment really is coming from inside them, from their comparison, their shame, their projection, their unlived life, their threatened role, their discomfort with your growth. And the healthiest thing you can do is learn to recognize that without becoming bitter. Just clear. Jung wouldn't want you to become paranoid. He'd probably want you to become conscious. Conscious enough to see when someone is reacting to you, and when they're reacting through you. That distinction saves a lot of emotional energy, because once you see the pattern, you stop trying to fix things that were never caused by your wrongdoing. Not every strange energy is your responsibility. Not every hidden resentment can be softened by being nicer, smaller, quieter, or more agreeable. Some people need you dimmer because your full presence stirs up too much in them, and shrinking yourself to solve that is never the answer. So why do some people secretly resent you for no reason? Usually there is a reason. It's just not always about something you did. Sometimes your presence reflects what they haven't become. Sometimes you make them feel too seen. Sometimes your growth breaks the role they gave you. Sometimes they compare themselves to you more than they admit. Sometimes your authenticity makes their performance feel heavier. Sometimes you trigger the grief of the life they didn't live. And sometimes your energy is simply no longer as available for their comfort. That's the deeper truth. A lot of resentment is not born from conflict. It's born from activation. You stirred something up, and not everybody knows how to sit with what rises in them. So they turn it into coldness, distance, fake support, subtle hostility, quiet tension. If you've been dealing with that lately, don't rush to turn it inward and assume you did something wrong. Sometimes the real mistake would be abandoning yourself just to make other people more comfortable around what your presence reveals. And before I leave you, I want to bring that question back because I think this topic is going to hit a nerve for a lot of people. What was the first sign that made you realize someone secretly resented you? Their tone, their silence, their fake support, or the way they acted when other people were around? That answer usually tells the whole story. If this spoke to you, comment, "I feel the tension now."